Ole, 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 ole. You want it. You're waiting for that moment where you're gonna get to live the World Cup and really celebrate speaking another language. But if you're watching this video, you probably have encountered challenges and difficulties that have kept you from achieving this goal. Today, we're gonna reveal the truth about learning languages and why 90% of people fail. The first reason people fail at learning languages is because it's indeed a very difficult task. You're asked to rewire your entire brain. Like mastering an instrument, you have been practicing your mother tongue since the day you were born, perfectioning every aspect of it. Just imagine that all of a sudden the rules change, and instead of a guitar, you are playing a banjo. And the melody that you used to play so beautifully doesn't sound so good anymore. On top of that, according to the website Fluent, you have to learn 10,000 words to become sort of fluent in your target language. That's about the same number of words that a medical student will learn during his 4 years in college. Learning a language will push you physically, intellectually, emotionally, and also socially. Just think of all of the awkward moments that you will have when you learn a new language. Okay class, repeat after me. This. Now say, we're going to the beach. We are going to the... Okay, I get it, it's challenging. But that doesn't explain why so many people are failing at it. After all, there are many people that succeed at doing very difficult things. Which takes us to reason number 2. Most people fail at learning languages because they are not using the right tools for this very challenging task. They often default to apps like Duolingo or Rosetta Stone, or just going to school to take language classes. School often focuses on grammar, and it punishes failure, which is essential, and hear my words again, essential, when trying to learn a language. Only when you fail, you can learn. We have apps like Duolingo, which focus on very repetitive words and sentences that you will really never use. Learning a language is difficult, but if you want to go for gold, you have to work hard. But you also have to work smart. So choose the right tools that are gonna take you to succeed. Don't go anywhere, I'm seeing you. Eduardo is going to share with you something that is gonna change your world. Those tools that are gonna help you get gold. Those tools that are gonna help you learn that language that you always wanted to learn. So stay with us.
Alright guys, although I appreciate Diego's confidence and trust in me, I can't promise you that these tools will completely change your life. But what I can promise you though is that these 5 things will give you a new perspective, a new approach on how to go about learning languages. And hopefully it'll make it a lot more interesting, a lot more engaging, and easier to do as you go on.
So the first thing you should understand is that learning a language is not just knowledge-based memorization. Memorizing the entire dictionary won't help you speak the language. It's not like having to memorize all the words will actually help you. Even if you did memorize the entire dictionary, you still wouldn't be able to speak.
You may be asking, well, what kind of learning is it then? And that's skill-based learning. Skill-based activities are things like music, art, sports, and yes, languages too. What this means is that when you're learning a new language, practice and consistency are really important. Think of it like working out. You have to stick to it and actually go on a regular basis in order to make any progress and be healthier, be fitter, get better. However, if you skip your workouts or go every day for a week and then the next 2 weeks you just completely not go at all, you won't be getting in much better shape. You actually won't be making much progress either. Let's talk about musical instruments like Diego mentioned in an earlier example. When learning an instrument, putting in the time and practice is very important to mastering it. Whether it's the guitar, the piano, the banjo, no matter what instrument it is, you have to put in the time and practice and make it part of your routine in order to actually succeed and eventually be able to become a great player. If you don't play, you're just not going to improve. And it's the same thing for languages. In short, language learning requires meaningful, persistent practice, and use it or lose it definitely applies here. Making it a habit and part of your routine will ensure you succeed in mastering this new language. So you may be asking yourself, how do I do that? How do I get the discipline to make it part of my routine, or how do I make this into a habit
I will actually act on.
Which brings us to point number 2. Find out which type of learning style works best for you and you also enjoy the most. There are 4 main learning styles that we're going to talk about. There's visual learners, auditory learners, reading and writing learners, and hands-on learners. The hands-on learners learn best by doing and actually practicing what they're going to do. As a visual learner, you prefer imagery and understand information easier through presentations, pictures, or video. An auditory learner refers to someone who prefers listening activities involving audio, like music for example. Reading and writing is pretty self-explanatory, and the most common approach to traditional learning. Hands-on learners learn best by doing, aka by putting what they learn into practice. They favor having conversations or using worksheets to put what they know to the test, and they learn best in this fashion. Using the learning style you resonate with the most and learn the best with will make a bigger impact on how you learn. When I taught students who were trying to learn Spanish or English, one of the very first things we would do is figure out what style of learning worked best for them and what they liked the most. I remember I used to pay close attention to see how they would react to different styles of material. The more engaged I saw them, the more interested I found that they were in specific styles of learning, the more I stuck with that, and that's the direction we would normally take. And the reason being is because you really need to find something that catches your attention, something that you're really passionate about and interested in. For example, if I had a student who really enjoyed podcasts, we would really tailor the lesson that way. And the key was really to get them talking and get them speaking, get them practicing on a regular basis, not only in the classroom but also outside of it. This worked great because every single person would be more engaged, more interested, and in a lot of cases they would actually start going off on their own, finding material that they enjoyed, bringing it to me and ask if we could go over it. And I would always say yes, and the reason why is because this material is something that they're passionate about and that they're actually going to look over and learn for themselves, which is really what we're trying to do all along. Just get them to practice, be engaged, and really make it sort of a habit. Now, when it comes to learning styles, there's also people who prefer structured learning and some who prefer unstructured learning, which really just means that some people like to go more by the book, have more detail, have an outline, really know what's coming up next and how the sessions are going to go. And others prefer to play it by ear and be a little more spontaneous, and either way is fine. The important thing to remember is that we're just trying to find a way for you to learn in a way that keeps you engaged and interested. Something that makes you want to learn and stay engaged and be attentive and actually look forward to your learning. The experience should be fun and should be something that you look forward to. That's the best way you're going to keep with it and actually practice and stay consistent. Again, start by figuring out what style of learning works best for you. Do you like structured format? Do you like more of an unstructured learning? Are you a visual person? Auditory? Do you prefer reading and writing? Or are you more hands-on where you prefer to just practice by doing and getting conversations and, put your knowledge to use? Whatever style of learning you have, try to stick with that in the long term because it's definitely what's going to make it easier for you to stick with it and master the language. And so point number 3, tailor the context and topics of the material you're learning to things you're passionate about and are interested in. For example, let's say you really enjoy comedy and are trying to learn Spanish. You also figure out that your style of learning is more auditory and listening based. What you should do then is find podcasts, audiobooks, or shows like stand-up comedy in Spanish and listen to a few until you find one you really like. Or let's say you're more interested in worldwide events, news, and journalism. Radio Ambulante is an NPR podcast in Spanish dedicated to telling stories around journalism and events in Latin America. Or maybe you prefer reading and writing and you also happen to be passionate about sports. Then look up sites or publications dedicated to sports in Spanish, like ESPN in Spanish, online for example. The point is, practice a language you're trying to learn by incorporating materials and themes you're interested about. Find topics you like and find them in the language you're trying to learn, and combine the two, and you're definitely going to have a much better experience. Again, like in the previous point, it'll help you stay more engaged, more attentive, you'll actually be interested about the content you're learning, you'll retain a lot more information, and you'll remember more down the line. In essence, you're really just going to have a much more productive practice, and you'll be able to stay more consistent with it. By the way, have I mentioned how important consistency is and practice? Number 4. Number 4 is something that's vital to succeeding in any language, and that is something that most people do struggle at some point in their learning journey, and that is conversational speaking. This can be a tough one for a lot of people because there doesn't seem to be a lot of places that you can actually go and, well, practice your language. There seems to be this idea that outside of a classroom setting or actually traveling to another country altogether, there's not a lot of places that you can actually practice your language in a conversational manner. But that's actually far from the truth. There's a lot of resources nowadays, thanks to the internet, that we can actually use to practice. It can be difficult to find a place where you can practice the talking and listening parts of a language. Yet you have to practice conversational speaking if you one day hope to master the language. You can actually connect with the entire world and a lot of other people interested in also practicing the language. It's just a matter of researching and looking it up online. In fact, you can actually search for something called language exchanges in your own area just by doing a simple search. These are meetings of groups of people that meet up regularly just to practice conversational speaking. For example, the way they work is if you're a native English speaker that is looking to learn how to speak Spanish, you would go to one of these meetings and you would essentially find someone who's a native Spanish speaker trying to learn English. And so you would strike up a conversation with them, and for a little while you would be talking in Spanish, and then for the second half of the event you would probably be speaking in English. This way, as a native English speaker trying to learn Spanish, you would be able to practice your Spanish, and vice versa, the native Spanish speaker would be able to learn some English and practice his conversational language. For example, if you're a native English speaker trying to learn Spanish, you may meet with a native Spanish speaker trying to learn English, and you would normally practice both languages in conversation for a set period of time. You can also use services like italki.com and find a tutor from around the world and be able to practice in the comfort of your own home. This is great because it really allows you to find and connect with anybody around the world and actually find somebody who is willing to practice with you in a conversational manner. It is very important to make sure that you do incorporate talking and listening, just conversational practice, into your language learning journey at some point. And last but certainly not least is have a clear goal. What do you want to do with your new language? Why is it that you're learning it in the first place? If you're clear on your goal, it's definitely going to be a motivator down the line. It's definitely going to keep you going, and it's going to serve as a reminder of why you're learning. Are you trying to get a job, have the confidence to travel abroad, hold a conversation with a native speaker, or just trying to learn for fun? Maybe you're trying to watch your favorite foreign show without subtitles on. Whatever it is, just make sure that you're clear on the goal and that there's zero room for ambiguity. What I mean by that is that there can't be any gray areas. It has to be a goal that you can be clear about whether you reached it or not. For example, a bad goal would be something like saying, my goal is to have a conversation with a foreigner. But what does holding a conversation with a foreigner mean? Having a clear conversation, or just being able to understand part of it? For how long? Completely clear? So it leaves a lot of room for improvement. A better goal would be something like this. Having a casual 5-minute conversation with a foreigner where I can understand everything they say and they can understand everything I say with no communication errors. So that really leaves no room for ambiguity. You really know what's happening there. You have sort of a clear measure of what it's about. It's a casual conversation for 5 minutes. You're mentioning that you would understand everything and the other person would understand everything as well. So it makes it pretty clear and there's no gray areas there. It could be as simple as watching an entire episode without subtitles and understanding everything from your favorite foreign TV show. Whatever it is, finishing an entire book, finishing your favorite book. Remember, be specific about the book in that case. But whatever it is, just make sure that it's something that you can be clear about and can pursue. Again, the goal here, no pun intended. Again, the point here is to make sure that whatever goal you set for yourself is a clear marker to determine if you've been progressing or not, that you're getting better, something to show you for yourself that you're progressing and your language learning is on the right path. It's a way to measure and figure out if you need to change something or just stay on course.
I hope you guys got something helpful out of this video and that it got you thinking about a new perspective and a fresh way to learn languages. And more importantly, it'll just be more enjoyable and more fun. It'll definitely take some of the stress out of learning the language. Whatever your goal is, whatever you're trying to do with it, making it an experience that's fun will definitely be easier for you to keep with it and stay with it, which is really the key, just to not quit and make it part of your everyday routine. Maybe not every day, but a few times a week, just as long as it's a habit, something that you stick with, something that's persistent, you'll be fine. I hope it inspires at least one of you guys to try out these tools and helps you guys out to become a fluent speaker one day. Let us know down in the comments below if you have any questions or thoughts about the video.
Did you find it helpful? Did it inspire you? Did you learn something new? Well, that's it, guys. Thanks so much for watching. Hit that like button if you enjoyed the video. Subscribe if you haven't already, and we'll see you guys in the next video. Adios.